Hey, you guys, welcome to the sessions. It is July 1st. Oh my gosh, the year is officially half over. And I'm just wondering how your year has been. My year has been amazing and fast and lots going on. And so we're going to talk about that today. We are going to talk about overwhelm on this episode of the Soul Frequency Show sessions. If you are tuning in on YouTube and watching this, you can subscribe at iTunes or anywhere that you get your podcast to the Soul Frequency Show. These are the sessions episodes. These are where we do the quick 5 to 10 minute bursts of coaching topics or things we're all going through in life and love and career and health. And they are quick perspective shifts and tools and things that you can start implementing in your life right away. So that's what we do here. We also interview amazing guests. So if you haven't heard our interview episodes, they launch on Wednesday afternoon, Pacific time. And I have some of the coolest people on the show, and we have awesome in-depth conversations. So I love doing those interviews. I love doing these sessions. I'm so excited that you're here. Let's talk about being overwhelmed. I'm going to break into the actual episode. You know what I noticed when I was watching these videos back? That I kind of go into like a little bit of channel when I'm doing the actual episode. So it changes a little bit for those that are watching on YouTube. But you can also tune in and listen to the audio version on the actual podcast. So we will jump into the actual episode. I'm going to give you tons of tips on overwhelm. I actually went through a time recently, which I'll talk about, where I was overwhelmed, and I was really present to all of the energetics of that. So that's what I want to share on this episode, and we will do it right now. This is Shauna Lee, and welcome to this week's The Soul Frequency Sessions. Real talk about real life and how to raise your energy frequency. So today we are talking about being overwhelmed or being in a state of overwhelm. Raise your hand if you've ever been there. Hello, I've been there. I had a point in time in June where I went through some overwhelm, and so I was really tuned into the energetics of that. And I'm going to talk about some of the deep underlying concepts around overwhelm and some tools around how we can move through those times. We're living in a time that basically breeds overwhelm. We have so much coming at us all the time, whether it's having a cell phone, right, that's constantly sending you emails and texts and ringing and all of those things, to just a plethora of technology. And even when you go to sit down to watch TV, there's so many different options, and those options can be overwhelming. When we have so many options, the brain likes to kind of shut down, right? And it doesn't really deal with all of the influx that goes on in our current reality very well. And so a lot of times in coaching sessions, I have people tell me, I'm just so overwhelmed and I don't know what to do about it. And so one of the reasons why I created these sessions episodes and why I do the videos of these on YouTube is to give you quick information, right? We don't have a lot of time a lot of times in life, and so we just need quick information. So we're going to do that today around overwhelm. Like I said, in June, I had a couple days where I went into overwhelm. My schedule was way more than what felt humanly possible. On those few days, I tried to, first tool is to see what is absolutely necessary and what isn't, and to go ahead and be able to say no and be able to move something to another time where maybe you're going to have more concentrated time for it. So that is the first tool you can use. Sometimes we get so married to the fact, and I do this too, that something has to be done on a certain day. It's like, oh, I scheduled this, I have to go. But do you really have to go? My husband has been amazing at teaching me this. Like, do you really have to go just because you scheduled it that day if you all of a sudden now have so many other things on that day? Maybe just take a deep breath and say, I'm going to reschedule this, right? Or I'm going to say no. And you have to prioritize, right? What is the most important thing that needs to happen today? What can be rescheduled? What can I do on a different day? So we can't hold so tight to our schedule that there's no flexibility when, of course, we don't want our health, our mental health, or our physical health to suffer at the hands of overwhelm. So that's one thing. And then when we are in an overwhelming moment, it is, so the energy kind of just ramps up. You can feel it start to go faster and faster and faster. And it's kind of like an upward funnel, right? Or an upward, like it's getting very fast, and it's spinning very quickly to the point where you're not even really recognizing the spin. So maybe you've been in one of those overwhelmed states and you feel the anxiety, and anxiety picks up speed, right? And just starts going faster and faster and faster. And the faster it goes and it feels in your body, that energy, the harder it is to come down off of it. So when we get so ramped up, we usually have some sort of emotional outburst. So maybe we will release that kinetic fast energy by yelling at someone like, I just can't do all of this, right? Or, oh my gosh, I'm just freaking out. And that's our way of dispelling that energy, because that energy is so intense within our body that we need to move it out of our body. So if you've ever had one of those experiences where you just kind of unload on somebody in a time of overwhelm, that's at an energetic level what you're doing, is just dispelling that energy. So another more positive way probably than unloading on other people is to move your physical body, right? To go for a run, to go for a walk, to get out in nature, because nature grounds us, right? Nature naturally grounds our energy. So if we go out in nature, we're going to naturally go, whew, right? From that overwhelm. Also to disconnect from technology, right? So leave your phone for half an hour, an hour, get offline, that type of thing. Again, go outside, go in nature, put your feet in the earth, grounding, get those beautiful negative ions, lay in the grass. If there's grass and you're, in a season where you have grass around you, super, super helpful for overwhelm, because at an energetic level, we try to solve overwhelm from the place of our mind. Like, how do I get myself out of overwhelm with the place that actually created the overwhelm? And it's not the best place to go, because when your mind is super wound up, it's really hard, again, to get it to come back down. So the best thing to do is kind of bypass the mind, go out into nature, and let the earth ground you. Let the earth bring your energy back to a healthy state of being. There's most times in overwhelm, there are so many things that we don't really have to do that we think we have to do. And so it's learning to look at things from, is this an absolute has to happen today, or there's going to be a catastrophic event that happens if I don't do this, or it's going to be horrible for my life in some way? Or is there a way that I can shift my schedule around? And we're going to talk more about this in a sessions episode, I think towards the end of this month. But it's really looking at things and also saying, what is important in my life right now, right? To the quality of my life. So oftentimes we get very busy taking care of other people's needs. We get very busy doing things for other people, and we're not really looking at how we're filling our cup or what we need in the moment. So overwhelm gets triggered too when our self-care is out, when we are not taking care of ourselves in the way we need to, when we think we don't have time to give to ourselves, to nourish ourselves, to take care of ourselves, whether that's eating well, whether that's taking a vacation, whether that's taking a day off to do whatever you want to do and forgetting about other people's needs. These things actually make our life function better. So we tell ourselves, I don't have the time to do that. Right? I can't do these other things. I have so much to do that is, either habitual things we do or other people's needs, filling other people's needs, taking care of other people, all that kind of stuff. And we have to realize that we take care of other people better when we have those little blips of time. And again, it doesn't have to be weeks on end. I'm talking 4 hours, 2 hours here and there a day to ourselves to really bring down our energy, center our energy, breathe, right? Because when we are in overwhelm, we are not breathing deep breaths, right? Sometimes we even stop breathing for points of time, right? Like when you're really overwhelmed, it's like, you feel that, right? Like, oh my gosh, right? And we actually stop breathing. So I talked about I did an episode called The Truth About Transformation last week. And I'm going to do part 2 and part 3 over this summer. And I talk about some of the lessons that I've learned in life and some of the things that I've been through and some of the powerful ways that I learned lessons when I thought I was supposed to learn it a different way and how it actually came through in my life. And so I hope you listen to that episode. If not, I think it's probably one of the most important episodes I've done on the show, to just really learn, right, how to navigate the things that we experience in life and how to learn the powerful lessons. And overwhelm is our teacher. Overwhelm is a powerful lesson we can learn around how to shift that energy, what that energy is about, how that energy is at play in our life. Is it all the time? Is it only some of the time? And really looking at, before that overwhelm gets overwhelming, how we can ground that energy, right? So it doesn't get to a place where we are, breaking down, getting upset at other people, doing things that we, when hindsight, don't feel great about. So I hope this helped with overwhelm. If anyone else is feeling any overwhelm or has, I'm just sending you all kinds of love, because I know what that's like. And if I can navigate through that, so can you. We can do it together. And so use some of the tools in this episode, keep it with you, return to it in times of overwhelm, breathe as you listen to this episode for a few minutes, and start implementing the tools in your life so that overwhelm doesn't have to be something that keeps us from expanding our life. Instead, it's something that we know that we can control, right? And that we know we can always adjust our schedule to be more kind and gracious and loving to ourselves. I'll see you back here next week. You guys, my YouTube friends. So that was the episode on overwhelm. One other tip I want to share about overwhelm is that there is actually ways that certain family systems deal with overwhelm. And there are ways that certain, it travels through the DNA, and that certain families are particularly prone to overwhelm. Maybe you grew up with a parent or a sibling or somebody in your life who was always overwhelmed, and just knowing that that is not your energy. Sometimes we grow up with that energy, and so we think it's ours, and we think we're a person that always gets overwhelmed with everything. And we want to always look at what were the influences in our life and who are the people that might have overwhelmed us or taught us that life is overwhelming, right? Because we always watch them being overwhelmed. And so we are looking always through the lens of life is overwhelming. So just see if you can identify those people. See if you can pull your energy back a little bit and just say, wait, that was theirs and that's not mine. And I don't have to live in a state of overwhelm anymore. I'll see you back here on sessions for next week's topic, and looking forward to more. Have a great week ahead.